Last Tuesday, a senior manager at one of India's largest IT companies made a junior developer cry in a stand-up meeting. In front of 15 people. Then he got promoted. This isn't a bug in the system. This is the system working exactly as designed. If you've ever worked in an Indian corporation, IT, banking, manufacturing, government, doesn't matter, you've seen this person. The manager who terrorizes. Who humiliates in public. Who makes your Sunday nights feel like a funeral. And if you've ever lain awake at 2 a.m. wondering why they still have a job, wondering what's wrong with the organization, wondering what's wrong with you for staying, this video is for you. Because what I'm about to show you isn't a management problem. It isn't a culture problem. It's a 200,000-year-old survival algorithm. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. In 1978, evolutionary biologist Robert Sapolsky went to Kenya to study baboons. Not corporate baboons. Actual baboons. He spent the next 30 years watching them. And what he found explains your last performance review. In every baboon troop, there's a dominance hierarchy. The alpha doesn't get there by being the smartest or the most productive. He gets there by being the most aggressive. By making others afraid. By controlling resources and punishing anyone who challenges him. Sound familiar? Sapolsky discovered something else. The subordinate baboons, the ones at the bottom, had cortisol levels through the roof. Chronic stress. Weakened immune systems. They were literally being killed by the hierarchy. Now here's where it gets interesting. Those same stress markers? Identical to what researchers find in subordinate employees in high-power distance corporate cultures. The Indian corporate hierarchy isn't just stressful. It's running the exact same biological program. I call it the baboon trap. And it works like this. In any hierarchical organization, there are three types of power signals that matter. Threat displays, raising your voice in meetings, CCANG seniors on complaint emails, the dramatic sigh when someone makes a mistake. These are direct equivalents of a baboon baring its teeth. Resource control, deciding who gets the good projects, who gets the clients, who sits near the window. This isn't management. This is territory. A baboon controlling access to the watering hole. And coalition enforcement, the most dangerous one. This is where the baboon trap really works. The dominant manager doesn't just threaten you. They make sure your peers participate in your subordination. That's why the whole team laughs when the boss mocks someone. That's why nobody speaks up. They're not cowards. They're running a survival program. Here's the part that keeps you up at 2 a.m. The baboon trap doesn't survive because organizations are stupid. It survives because it works. For the organization. A dominant manager who rules through fear produces short-term compliance. Projects get delivered. Deadlines get met. Nobody questions the process because questioning is punished. The organization sees the results. It doesn't see the cost. It doesn't see the 3 developers who updated their LinkedIn at midnight. It doesn't see the senior engineer who now takes anxiety medication. It doesn't see the brilliant ideas that were never spoken because the room wasn't safe enough to speak in. This is what Robert Sutton, author of the No Asshole Rule, calls the performance alibi. As long as the numbers look good, the system has no incentive to examine how those numbers were produced. The baboon keeps its territory because the troop keeps eating. Now, everything I've described happens everywhere. But in Indian corporate culture, the baboon trap has a turbocharger. It's called power distance. India scores among the highest in the world on Hofstede's Power Distance Index. This means hierarchical authority isn't just accepted, it's expected. Questioning your superior isn't seen as initiative. It's seen as disrespect. David Graeber, in Bullshit Jobs, describes what he calls duct tapers, people whose entire job exists to fix problems created by someone above them who's too important to be questioned. In Indian corporations, an enormous amount of human intelligence is spent not solving problems, but managing the emotional states of senior leaders. Think about that. Your job isn't to do your job. Your job is to make your boss feel like a boss. And here's the cruelest part: the system selects for baboon behavior. The people who get promoted are the ones who master threat displays, resource control, and coalition enforcement. Not because HR is evil, but because these behaviors look like leadership to an organization that can't tell the difference. I call the hidden cost of this system the desperation tax. When you're in a baboon trap, you pay a tax on every action. You don't email your actual question, you spend 20 minutes crafting a version that won't trigger your manager's threat response. You don't present your best idea, you present the idea your manager will take credit for without feeling threatened. You don't leave at 6 p.m. when your work is done, you stay until your manager leaves because departure is a threat display in reverse. It means you don't need them. Every hour of the desperation tax is an hour of human intelligence that was wasted on survival instead of creation. Multiply that across millions of employees, and you begin to understand why India's corporate productivity numbers look the way they do. Robert Sapolsky discovered something remarkable about his baboon troop. In the mid-1980s, a tuberculosis outbreak killed the most aggressive alpha males, the ones who bullied their way to first access at a garbage dump near a tourist lodge. And something unprecedented happened. The troop became peaceful. Stress levels dropped across the entire group. Subordinate males were no longer terrorized. New males who joined the troop were socialized into peaceful behavior within months. The troop maintained this peaceful culture for over a decade. It proved that the dominance hierarchy wasn't inevitable. It was just the default setting. I'm not suggesting we wait for a tuberculosis outbreak at your company's executive canteen. But Sapolsky's discovery tells us something crucial. The baboon trap is a pattern, not a law of nature. And the first step to breaking a pattern is naming it. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow. Tonight. The next time you feel that knot in your stomach before a meeting. The next time you rewrite an email for the 6th time. The next time you lie awake at 2 a.m. wondering if you're the problem, stop. And name what's happening. Say it out loud if you have to. That's a threat display. That's resource control. That's coalition enforcement. That's the baboon trap. You're not naming it to fix it. Not yet. You're naming it because unnamed things control you. Named things become something you can see. And things you can see, you can start to navigate around. In evolutionary psychology, awareness of a cognitive pattern is the first step to overriding it. Your brain runs the subordination program automatically because for 200,000 years, it kept your ancestors alive. But you're not on a savanna. You're in a glass building in Bangalore or Gurgaon or Hyderabad. And the predator isn't a lion. It's a man with a corner office and an inferiority complex. I'm not going to tell you to quit your job. I'm not going to tell you to confront your manager. I'm not going to tell you everything will be fine. What I will tell you is this. You're not crazy. The system is. And now you have a name for what it's doing to you. That changes everything. Even if nothing else changes yet. This is the corporate joker. I study the machines that grind people down so that the grinding starts to make sense. If this names something you've been feeling, the next video goes deeper. We're going to look at something I call the ostracism death switch, the reason being excluded at work hurts more than any insult, and the evolutionary reason your brain treats it like a death sentence. Subscribe. Because at 2 a.m., it helps to know someone else sees the machine.